All right, excellent. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today here in a very hot and sweltery Sacramento in California, where once again we are experiencing triple-digit temperatures. Who's been feeling hot lately? Raise your hand if you're feeling that heat. And we're here to launch a new campaign called Upgrade California, and you can find more information about that at upgradecalifornia.com on our website, where we're going to be working to transform the buildings in the California economy so that we can really seize that solution to reduce our energy waste as a key climate solution. My name's Laura Dehan. I'm the State Director for Environment California, and we are proud to support this suite of bills as a key solution for global warming, this problem that really is the problem of our lifetimes to solve. I think that the examples of climate change have been more prevalent than I expected I would see in my lifetime just this summer. We saw in July the hottest month on record on planet Earth. We saw in Phoenix, Arizona, records falling, temperatures soaring over 110 degrees for more than 30 days. It's hard to even imagine. We just and still are learning about the heartbreaking stories coming out of Maui, where we saw the worst wildfire in modern history. There's now more than 110 lives that are confirmed to have been lost, and still 1,000 people who we don't know where they are yet. They ran out of water on the island, and they weren't able to put out the fire, in part because they literally didn't have enough water on the island. These unexpected extreme weather events are what has been foretold by scientists that we could expect as a result of climate change. And they're all happening right now. And I think that we need to see that those are urgent reminders that we need to act. And the good news is we can act. There is a lot that we can be doing right here in California to take action on climate. Just 1 year ago, Congress passed the Inflation Reduction Act, the biggest act to tackle climate change in U.S. history, and we're already seeing the impacts taking off as clean energy projects are getting built all across the country, as more people are taking advantage of the solutions right at our hands. I know that I just got a heat pump installed a couple of weeks ago. So excited. I now have cooling, which is a great way. It's not just a heat pump to get you warm, but it keeps you cool as well in the summer, and it's so much more efficient. So that's a great solution. But there's so much more we need to do to upgrade all of our buildings. Believe it or not, the second biggest source of global warming pollution in our state is from the building sector, from the places where we spend our time. And this is the thing that's like the most untapped. California's led the way on clean energy, on transportation. Now we've got to lead the way on clean buildings, electric buildings. And that's what the Upgrade California campaign's really all about, is making that a reality. We want to tackle climate pollution in people's homes. We want to tackle it in community buildings, in schools, and also in businesses, in the big buildings all across the state. And there's a whole suite of bills that are moving right now, and we have an opportunity to support them and make sure they pass. We have a great lineup of speakers, so now I want to pass it on to Assemblymember Matt Haney, the Assembly member from San Francisco. I'm sure he's sweltering because San Francisco is not as hot as Sacramento today. And he's the author of a really important bill, and he's going to tell us all about it.
Thank you so much for that. The truth is, I'm not really here to say anything. It's just to see whether I melt first or the bear melts first. We are all, I think we're making a point here by being out in the sun having this press conference. But in reality, we all know because we're experiencing in real time climate change. Our state is getting hotter. Our country is getting hotter. Our world is getting hotter. Every single day, every single week, we are breaking records for the hottest day on record. And that's having real impacts on people across the world, on on regions that are now experiencing a temperature that has made it impossible for them to have a livelihood that they've had for, in some cases, hundreds of years. We're seeing droughts, we're seeing storms, we're seeing fires at a level that is unprecedented. And so we need to take dramatic and urgent action in every way possible. California has a responsibility as a place that not only has, unfortunately, still far too many emissions, but also has been a leader on reducing emissions and setting a standard for the world to follow. We've done it in many sectors. We're doing it on clean energy vehicles. We're doing it in building a transportation infrastructure. We're doing it on renewable energy. We also have to do it in the places that we live and work. As you heard, the second largest source of emissions in our state come from buildings. They come from an infrastructure in particular of the way that we build, the way that we heat, the way that we cool is producing these emissions. The good news is that there are solutions. Our state has set very bold goals to reduce those emissions in our building sector, commercial and residential buildings, new and old. But we have to actually set real goals. We have to set standards for our appliances. We have to set standards and milestones for how we build and the way we build and hold ourselves accountable to get this done. We know, for example, as you heard, that there are these things called heat pumps. And Senator Becker, who's been a tremendous leader on this issue, and I were just joking that they need better branding because it's not just about heat, it's about replacing the way that we cool our buildings as well and have dramatically less emissions as a result. I also want to say this is a win-win for Californians because not only can we lead on climate change, address the extreme heat that we're experiencing, these technologies are also cheaper. People will save money on their heat and their air conditioning if they move to these type of clean cooling, clean energy technologies in their homes. We can do this, but we have to be aggressive about it. We can't just write a goal down and think it's going to get done. We have to actually say, here's how we're going to support Californians. Here we're going to how we're going to train the workforce to make that transition to clean air conditioning, heat pumps, and clean energy technology. I'm going to get off the stage before I melt and just, again, thank Environment California, thank the Building Deep Carb Coalition, my friend Bilal Mahmoud, who's here, who's been a great partner, and my friend Senator Becker, who's been such a tremendous leader. We've got to get this done in California. We've got to lead, or we're all going to melt. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Assemblymember Matt Haney. And yes, I failed to mention that it's not just all the speakers who are up here melting, but we also have an actual ice sculpture of a California bear who is sadly moving into more like a blob as he's dripping because it is that hot. And that's a reminder that in this extreme heat, we need extreme solutions. And we have the technology already. And now we've really got to jumpstart adoption of these solutions. We're hot, but most of the time I get to work in a pretty air-conditioned place. There's many people who are working outdoors in some of the hottest temperatures, especially in the Central Valley, people who work on farms picking our food. And so it's worth remembering that we really need to take action to stave off the worst impacts of climate change at the same time as we build that resiliency in our communities. And so to talk a little bit about that, I've now got Jose Torres, who is the director of our California Decarbonization Coalition.
Thank you for that. So good afternoon, everyone. This is the fourth day in a row. The temperatures are over 100 in Sacramento. We know firsthand that heat waves are getting hotter, longer, more intense, with escalating levels of climate pollution. Globally, we just witnessed the hottest month on record in July, and there's some sirens in the background. In California, just to put it in perspective, right, and I think to build off the points that the Assembly member Laura shared, in California, about a quarter of households lack access to cooling to stay safe in extreme heat. So I think when we think of, Upgrade California and the SWAT of bills, it's important to put it in perspective, right? When you think of the farm worker, when you think of someone coming home from a hot day at work, oftentimes then they don't have the option to cool when it stays hot at night. So when we think of heat pumps, right, it's not just like comfort in the sense of like being in a cool room, but it's actually life-saving technology if we do this right. So this is why California urgently needs to upgrade its homes and communities to be climate ready. And AB 593 specifically, right, will support Climate by creating a master plan to upgrade its homes, buildings with clean cooling technologies. And the goal of this is to provide relief from extreme heat, safeguard low-income households, build community resilience, support clean energy jobs, and lower emissions and deliver clean air. And when we think about building decarbonization and what 593 is trying to do, not only are we taking on climate change, but we're also providing immediate relief, right? And I think that's the uniqueness of what we're doing here. It's not only are we combating and trying to reduce the impact that we've seen climate change is having on people, but we're also trying to provide immediate services to folks that need it most, right? And I think that's the intention. We're also thinking about like the workforce and other folks that are connected to these different systems in order to create a pathway for everyone to kind of integrate into this new solution. And so that's what 593 is trying to do, and that's why the bill is up here. And thank you. I'll pass it back.
Thank you so much, Jose Torres of the California Building Decarbonization Coalition. And next, I want to bring up someone who really has been our top champ when it comes to taking action on climate in the Senate. He has really led the way on really important allocations to take action on climate, as well as, and his role as the budget chair for the Climate Committee and Clean Energy Committee, and then also just has authored and pioneered really innovative solutions. So I want to bring up Senator Becker, who represents the peninsula. We're just getting hotter as well. So come on up.
Well, thank you. And it's not just us up here. Is it okay for me to move this? It's not just us up here getting hot. Let me see, maybe I can just, okay, here, that's fine. But all these volunteers who are up here standing in the heat. So let's give them a round of applause. And take a look at what they have to say and some of the messages here. I want to thank all of our partners, want to thank Bilal, want to thank all the sponsors, and especially Assemblymember Matt Haney and Senator Lena Gonzalez, who could not be with us. I'll talk about her bill here at the end. But Assemblymember Haney eloquently talked about the challenges. I remember coming back after the July 4th holiday, and I stood up on the Senate floor, and I said, I just read that July 3rd was the hottest day ever recorded on Earth in 125,000 years. And I remember looking around, and people were kind of confused. There was some skepticism, and but some people talked to me about it afterwards. And then every day after that in July, we kept seeing headline after headline after headline. And the clear message is that time for action is now. We can applaud for that. And we are at a critical moment in California's climate history. There are a lot of people rooting for us to fail. I saw a story on Fox News the other day where they were saying that our clean vehicle targets are going to fail because there's not enough electricity on our grid. So it's time for us to prove those skeptics wrong. That's why we're proposing these bills today. There's a clear pathway. We know what we need to do. And this is a movement that builds. Climate action is the movement that will upgrade California. This Upgrade California package will make buildings cleaner, more comfortable, and cheaper to operate. They're going to make schools healthier for students and teachers, and importantly, create lots of good, high-paying jobs. We can applaud for that as well. I'd like to get wonky for a minute, just talk about two of my bills that are in this package, the Upgrade California package. One is SB 48, and that is the bill to tackle energy from large buildings. We know we're already doing great work for new buildings in most parts of the state, saying these need to be all electric or setting very high standards. But we have that existing building stock out there. And we need to put a dent in the more than 20 million tons of CO2 every year in California that come just from these large buildings, just from large buildings over 50,000 square feet. And that's the target of this bill. And it's going to put us in good company with other leading-edge climate states. more and more we're seeing with Republicans in control of one house right now, nothing else is going to come out of D.C. on climate. So we need to band together with other leading-edge climate states, Washington State, Colorado, others, and those two I just mentioned are also pursuing this exact same policy. It's sort of the proven practical solution for large buildings. Let's figure out how much energy they should be using. Let's set those goals, give them time, resources to get there, and make sure they get there. In New York City alone, they estimate that this similar policy will create $20 billion of economic activity and create 124,000 jobs by 2030. So that's SB 48. Applaud for it. Yes. I also want to mention SB 410. This is Powering Up Californians. Constituents in my district and Assemblymember Haney's district and many of our districts have been complaining about the extreme delays, especially in PG&E territory, the extreme delays it's taking to hook up clean buildings, new upgrades, really everything to the grid. And that's why you saw so many bills on this, and I think this is the one bill that's emerging. We had one hospital in our district that went unenergized, could not plug into the grid. We were calling PG&E every day. They forced the county to spend $1.1 million on diesel generators. These are absurd timelines. We want to transition to EVs. 1/4 of our cars sold in California, 1/4 in the last quarter and second quarter this year were EVs. We can applaud for that as well. But we need that charging infrastructure, and it can take 6 to 12 months for PG&E to hook up a charger. Is this acceptable? No, absolutely not. So that's what this bill will do. It will hold the utilities accountable for these upgrades and interconnections. If we want to meet our climate goals, we need PG&E to step up. We need other utilities to step up. That's what this bill is going to do to hold them accountable. Finally, I want to mention Senator Gonzalez's bill. She's sorry she couldn't be here with us today. And what this bill is going to do is create a master plan for climate-ready schools. And when I say make schools healthier and better places to work and for students and teachers, that is extremely clear because it's not just the effects of heat. We have to, of course, air condition these schools. We know parts of the state, including the Central Valley, at times have the worst air quality already in the world. We know that wildfires, when wildfire season comes, and we're doing everything to prevent it, that has also been shutting down schools in past years. So we need to create a master plan for climate-resilient, climate-ready school. That's what this bill will do. It's going to engage a large group of stakeholders, of students and educational industries and teachers in conversation to improve health, the resilience, and then also do the building decarbonization and local generation that we need. These schools can actually, because of our parking lots and all the space they have, they can actually be net generators of energy, and we need to make sure this happens. So, in conclusion, I just want to thank everyone here today. You know what? All these events around the world and reading them every day said to me, it's not just the time of action is now, but we have to focus on a set of core things that we need to do across our economy. And this Upgrade California package is the package right now in the legislature for buildings. Proud to be part of it. Thank you all for all of your help.
Thank you so much, Senator. And next we have Jeremy Osborne. Jeremy Osborne is the founder of Helios Climate Industries, and he's going to come up here to talk about the innovation of heat pumps.
Thank you very much for having me to speak. Thank you everyone for coming out in the heat and setting up some ice. And we have brought a heat pump here for you to see today. This is powered by solar energy batteries, and it's a heat pump in front of you that is able to keep houses warm and cold and cool and comfortable. Helios is an installer of heat pumps. That means we go into people's homes and put them in place. We are aiming to make them affordable so that people have the economic choice to choose the green option, the clean option. California can kickstart the market for heat pumps, creating jobs, economic stimulus, technology innovations. By passing strong legislation aimed at supporting the upgrades of homes and buildings to be climate ready. Our business shows that strong demand for heat pump exists and that people want clean energy homes with affordable energy bills, healthy indoor air quality, superior indoor comfort. Where policymakers can help us as innovators in heat pump systems is by creating a strong market signal that building upgrades are coming, that supporting California households are coming, and that will give us the confidence and everyone in the innovation startup world to put their efforts and minds together to make this easier, cheaper, and better for everyone. So thank you so much.
Wonderful. And next, we have Jonathan Klein, who is the co-founder of Undaunted K-12. Come on up.
I'm sitting here listening to this other speakers, and it's about 1:30, and I'm thinking about afternoon recess. There are about 6 million California students out there. Like, are 1 million of them out on playgrounds as hot as we are right now? Is it more than 1 million? At this very moment. So I really want to appreciate Senator Becker, Assemblymember Haney, Laura, Jose, Jeremy, Marion, everyone for making time to come out in support of these important bills. As they said, I'm Jonathan Klein. I'm a California dad, and I'm a co-founder of Undaunted K-12. Undaunted is a nonprofit organization working to ensure that school infrastructure is resourced to safeguard student health and learning in the face of extreme weather and rapidly changing climate. I'm also a former public school teacher. I taught 5th grade, and a former district administrator. I'm here today as one of the lead authors of a 2023 study, Climate Resilient California Schools, a Call to Action, jointly released with Stanford University and UC Berkeley. The report's central recommendation is for the state of California to develop a master plan, as Senator Becker referenced, for sustainable and climate resilient schools. And we are so pleased to see SB 394 take up this recommendation, and we're grateful to Senator Lina Gonzalez for her leadership in authoring the bill. Just as we've discussed with homes and workplaces, California's 730 million square feet of school buildings need a plan to keep students healthy and learning during extreme heat, wildfires, and other extreme weather, which negatively impact their learning, their physical health, and their mental health. 40% of our 10,000 schools are over 50 years old. Wildfire smoke is 10 times more toxic to children than other kinds of air pollution. A full 5% of the gap in test scores between Black and Hispanic students and their white counterparts can be attributed to disproportionate exposure to excessively hot classrooms. And when schools close to extreme weather emergencies, that impacts learning too, and we can see those decreases. So SB 394 will help us move from siloed investments around the state to a cohesive plan that helps achieve 3 critical outcomes. One, that plan will ensure that the $7 billion we spend every year on our school infrastructure is spent in alignment with our goals for decarbonization and extreme heat. Secondly, that master plan will ensure that our schools take advantage of new incentives in the Federal Inflation Reduction Act for solar energy storage and heat pumps, money that California might otherwise leave on the table. If just 100 California schools take advantage of those resources over the next 10 years, we would bring an extra $400 million to California school infrastructure. And third, SB 394 will ensure that school buildings are part of the solution as we try to reach our greenhouse gas reduction targets, rather than continuing to burn more fossil fuels every year. We know this is a tight budget year, but the costs of waiting or not making this investment are far greater than the $10 million we need to move this plan forward. I'm here as a parent, an educator, and an advocate to respectfully ask that the governor, the legislature, vote aye, allocate funding, and sign SB 394 to safeguard our children and help our education leaders navigate the massive climate-related challenges that our school facilities and communities increasingly face every day. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And as a mother who just dropped off 2 kids for their first day of school in the new year, I have to concur. We need that. Those playgrounds can get really hot. So, all right, the next I want to invite our final speaker, who is Marion Borgeson, the Director of California Policy. Is that your whole title? decarbonization. Yeah. Marion is a leader at the Natural Resources Defence Council, where she's been leading the way on the campaigns for energy efficiency, conservation, electrification, all of that. So over to you, Marion.
Thank you. It is not lost on me that I'm standing between these lovely people and the protection of air conditioning somewhere. I also am trying to resist the urge to give this sculpture a massive bear hug because it is very appealing. So I've got to end this. I want to leave you with one important thought. This is entirely possible, what we're doing up here. We have a suite of bills that is looking at homes, large buildings, schools, making sure we have the power that we need to power all of these devices. We can do this. Heat pumps are literally owned by all of you. There is a heat pump in your refrigerator. There is a heat pump in your car for air conditioning. There's a heat pump in every AC unit. If you make those two ways heating and cooling, which requires an additional little device that's not very expensive to be inserted, you have a heat pump that can also avoid fossil gas in your homes and buildings. So we have a solution. It's literally everywhere. We need this one tweak. It's affordable to do that, and we should never be installing any more AC in the entire state unless it has two-way AC, and we're able to meet our climate challenge by avoiding fossil gas and also meet our cooling needs. So I want to thank all of you for being here today. You're amazing. I encourage everyone to get into the protective shade or air conditioning of their choice, and thank you all so much for being here. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Marion. And with that, we wanted to open the floor to any questions. That is, it's solar panels powering a generator that's then powering this heat pump. So these are actually great. You can also use that if you're ever wanting to keep powered, keep things powered up. We brought one camping recently. It's really awesome. Any other questions? All right. Well, thank you so much for coming. Let's go make it happen. Upgrade California.